Why buy an iPhone 12? Why buy an iPhone 11? Why buy any of the new models of iPhones when realistically everything you need can be found in an older flagship, such as the speed and the long-term use? Now, what am I actually considering you should get? That is an iPhone XS from 2018. Now, I hope everyone's doing well. Let's get straight into this video. So firstly, I just want to say the price that you can get it for, and that is actually about £350 or $400 secondhand from sites such as eBay. You can get a 256GB iPhone XS that is in pretty much pristine condition with a high battery health above 95 or 90% for around that price, which I personally find amazing. You will have to do some searching, and I will get onto that a bit later in the video on how to go about that, but that is where you will be finding the deal to get the phone that I'm going to go ahead and talk about. So to explain this to you as to why I think the XS is a good phone for the majority of people who are going to be watching tech videos such as this one, I'm going to take you back and show you my story as to why I ended up buying this phone. Now, if you have been following the channel, you will see that I actually did a video on the iPhone 7 and why that is such a good phone in 2020. I don't take back that statement at all, but for power users such as myself, I soon realised that it was not enough for me, and that in the end, I'd like to have a slightly bigger screen, slightly more powerful, and slightly better camera. So I went on the search. So I wanted to get a phone that was in great condition and almost new condition, and I was not prepared to pay more than £400 or about the $500 mark. And also it was most important that I had the new design. I really wanted the new Apple design with Face ID, as it would keep the phone looking in date for a longer period of time, as I'm planning on keeping this phone for at least a year or two. Due to the design, that cancels out the iPhone SE, which would have been a very easy buy, but due to the display and also the battery in it, I couldn't go ahead and go with that. And then I was also thinking about the XR, but on Apple's site that is very expensive still, around the £600 mark, and even secondhand it hasn't got the best of design, as the edges are a bit thicker, the screen is lower quality, and also I found the phone a bit too big. And if you listen to my iPhone 7 review, you will hear that I actually prefer a smaller phone that is easy, more pocketable, and in general just more of a tool. So the XS fit that perfectly, as it was slightly smaller than the XR with a 5.8-inch display, and it's also under that £400. If you search, you have to make sure you search well for the deal, but under that £400 budget. Now also, just a disclaimer, I decided not to go refurbished, as I don't personally trust many of the dealers online due to the fact that I don't know the parts they're using, and oftentimes, such as on Amazon refurbished, you're only guaranteed above an 80% battery health, which personally I don't think is enough when you're buying a phone and planning on using it for a while, so that was an issue. And also, if you're going secondhand, you don't need to worry about the battery health. If for some reason you find the perfect phone, but the battery health is below 90%, then you might actually be able to find it at a cheaper price due to that battery health, or maybe you could bargain that person down due to the battery health. And then it costs Apple £70 in order to get a new replacement battery. I'll put up here what it costs in America or in Canada. So back to my story. Now, I actually had to go ahead and make sure that I had more than 64GB of storage. And the thing is, with the iPhone XS, Apple was a bit sneaky and they didn't include a 128GB option. For me, that's the perfect size, and I think it is for most people, which is exactly how Apple managed to get people to buy the 256GB model, which is the next step up from the 64. So I had to go ahead and get that because 64 is pretty much just my applications and I wouldn't be able to fit anything else. So I would recommend to most people with a similar situation to me, go ahead and look at the 256GB model, 256GB model, 256GB model. Which in the end isn't actually too bad if you found the right deal in terms of pricing compared to the 64GB. And in terms of eBay, my one tip would be to go ahead and message every single seller that you're actually looking at when you're looking through the listings, and ask them what the battery health is of the phone if they haven't included it in the listing already. And if the battery health is above 95%, I would say that is a great buy and can be sometimes hard to find depending on the market that you're in, since the phone is 2 years old. And I would say anything below £400 to £450 is a good deal for that. But personally, I managed to find a 97% battery health, pretty much pristine space grey model at £350, which was a bargain to find. I'm very content with that. And I do believe that if you do enough searching, I probably spent about 2 weeks searching, I'm sure the majority of people can find deals such as this one. You just have to put in the time. And you should be very happy if you do get the deal, as I went personally and checked on Apple's website and found that the iPhone was selling for, I believe, £729 refurbished from them, the exact model that I have, which is crazy compared to what I managed to get it for. I also want to mention, as I did say before about the iPhone XR, wasn't right for me due to its size and screen mainly, but if you would like a slightly better battery by maybe half an hour to an hour, and also a larger screen, then go ahead and go for the XR, because you might actually find it about £50 cheaper than the iPhone XS on eBay, also due to the fact that the iPhone XR does have a 128GB option. Now, why is the iPhone XS specifically great in 2020 and beyond? Now, let's start with performance. Now, if you looked back at my iPhone 7 video, I was saying that the performance was pretty good, which is very, very true. And you can imagine that was from 2016. Then you have the iPhone 8 in 2018, which had a very, very good performance too, and a lot of people still buy and use iPhone 8s today. That has the same processor as the iPhone 10, as they were brought out in the same year, the 8 Plus, the 8 and the 10. And then in 2018, you have the iPhone XS, XS Max and XR, and those phones have the same processor, the Apple A12 Bionic, I believe. I will correct myself if I'm wrong. And you can just imagine, it's a leap forward 2 years, the performance is still great, even better, so I don't have any slowdowns personally, and I find the phone a breeze to use, and over my first week of using the phone, no issues whatsoever. In terms of the cameras, and yes, it's cameras, because you do have on the XS, XS, a zoom lens 2 times and a regular lens. Personally, I do love the ultra wide that you get on the iPhone 11, but the price of the iPhone 11 for me does not justify that upgrade, and that is pretty much the only upgrade you're realistically getting from this to the 11, other than performance. But in terms of the cameras on the XS, they are great. No real issues with them personally. I've taken quite a few photos, and the best thing about it is the video quality is amazing. And the step up that you get from the iPhone 10 or 8 to the XS is that you have this new feature called HDR+, which actually takes multiple photos, stitches them together, and lets you see more dynamic range in the images. So for example, if you take a landscape photo such as this one, you will keep the sky as well as the subject or the forefront of the photo in focus and well balanced in terms of color. So that is a great feature of the iPhone XS. In terms of its body and the way it feels in the hand, it is a great contender, and actually feels better than the iPhone 11 and even the 12, I would argue, due to the fact that both the 11 and the 12, the non-Pro variants, are similar to the XR or the XR from the same year as the XS in the fact that they have aluminium bodies, so they don't feel that premium. But the iPhone XS, on the other hand, is made out of stainless steel, high grade, it's very glossy, and especially if you get either the gold variant or the space grey, which I have, they look and feel shiny, premium, and they are much more durable than aluminium. So it fits in with the Pro lines of phones more, so in a sense the XS is more comparable than the iPhone 11 to any of the 11 Pros or 12 Pros, which is a great thing to see, especially for a phone that is slightly older. In terms of any extra benefits you might be getting from the iPhone XS, I would say for one, Face ID is great on it and is very comparable to the newer phones, and that is why I'm personally not saying to go ahead and get the iPhone 10 from the year before, mainly due to the Face ID being faster and a few other reasons. Another thing is that this iPhone XS was the last generation of phones to include 3D touch or haptic touch, where you can actually force click on the display. Apple removed that due to being able to make the display thinner and therefore add more battery capacity and extras to the phone in the newer models, but it's a great thing to have. It gives another way to interact, and some people like it, some people don't. Personally, I think it's a great feature to have, and it makes everything a bit more speedy. Another thing is the options and the compatibility you get for cases and third-party extras for the iPhone XS. Since it is an iPhone and one of the major models, there's loads of cases, loads of screen protectors that work very well and have been made specifically for the phone, so maybe more options you might get with something such as a Samsung Galaxy S10, for example. Another great thing is that there are no known major defects on the iPhone XS, such as any battery issues or screen issues that popped up over the years. But the one thing is that some people in the US I've heard have complained about cell phone connectivity on certain networks not being that great, but personally I live in a bit of a dead area and I still managed to get 1 or 2 bars of 4G, just as I did on previous phones such as the Google Pixel 2 XL and the iPhone 7 previously, so I'd say that is a non-issue really. And in terms of negatives, the couple things I would say is that firstly, the battery life is not amazing. It's not like the new iPhone 11 or iPhone 11 Pro Max, which has amazing battery, even better than the iPhone 12. So yes, that is a bit of an issue, but I do get consistently, if I use it like normal, about 6 hours of screen on time. And personally, I don't kill a phone in a day, especially with coronavirus at the moment and not always using the phone out and about. So I'd say a good 5 or 6 hours, but for some people that might be 4, but I am sure you'll get definitely over 4 hours. Now, the other thing is, you are not going to be getting as many updates as a new iPhone 12 or iPhone 11 customer, so that is definitely a thing to be thinking about. But I'm sure you should be getting updates for at least a couple more years, for at least I'd say about 3 more years. And I personally bought the phone being content with that, so that is a non-issue really either, because Apple support their phones very well, as I have mentioned in previous videos, such as this one here. I don't know where that is, here or here. And finally, as I previously mentioned, you don't get the ultra wide lens, which you do get on the iPhone 11 lineup and anything beyond there. So if you really want that, you might have to go ahead and get an iPhone 11, but that will cost you probably about £200 extra on eBay. But other than that, the iPhone XS and the XR, if you are looking for a slightly bigger phone, are great buys in 2020, and even in 2021 might be good buys, but I will have to do an update video then. So I hope you guys really did like this video. I will see you in the next one. Please go ahead, like this video, I really would appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'm trying to hit 75 by the end of the year, and I will see you in my next video. Have a good week, everyone.